In the first 9 days of July 2026, four separate companies announced more than $4 billion in new semiconductor investment in a single country. LG committed $1 billion to a chip packaging complex in Haiphong. Samsung Electromechanics added another $1.2 billion to expand production of a component used in AI accelerators. That followed a separate $1.5 billion investment from Samsung to build its first chip testing plant in the country. None of it happened in the countries that already dominate the AI race. It happened in the race's newest player, Vietnam. Vietnam's semiconductor industry is projected to clear $21 billion in revenue this year. The government wants to train 50,000 engineers by 2030, starting from a base of about 7,000. A national chip prototyping center opened in late June. A domestically owned wafer fab broke ground in January. Taken individually, these look like normal progress of industrial policy in a fast-growing economy. But taken together, this is showing how Vietnam is becoming a semiconductor power to shift the AI race. And more interestingly, it may also be becoming useful to the US's strategy for containing China. For 3 decades, Vietnam's role in the global chip supply chain was straightforward. It assembled, tested, and packaged chips designed and fabricated elsewhere. Intel put more than $4 billion into a facility outside Ho Chi Minh City starting in 2007. Samsung followed, and so did Japanese and Korean electronics giants. Vietnam built a reputation as what industry analysts call a reliable backend, cheap, stable, and politically uncomplicated compared to the alternative. That changed on paper in September 2024 when Hanoi adopted Decision 1018, a semiconductor strategy running through 2050. The plan is built around a formula officials call C equals SET plus 1, chip capability as the product of specialization, electronics, and talent, with the plus 1 referring to Vietnam's ambition to be the preferred alternative when companies diversify away from China. It was an announcement of intent. What happened 5 months later is what turned that intent into something real. In February 2026, President Trump met Vietnamese leader To Lam at the White House and told him he would instruct federal agencies to remove Vietnam from the strategic export control list. Vietnam had been on that list since the Cold War, grouped alongside China, Russia, and North Korea. The list restricts access to dual-use technology, the tools needed to make advanced chips among them. Removing Vietnam from it opens the door to exactly the kind of American chip-making technology that export controls are simultaneously designed to keep out of Chinese hands. The same lever the US is using to slow China down is the one it just used to speed up Vietnam. Whatever the stated diplomatic reasoning, the practical effect serves the US's interest in having a functioning alternative supply chain outside of China regardless of intent, and Vietnam had already signaled it understood the assignment. 5 weeks before Trump's announcement, To Lam attended the groundbreaking of Vietnam's first domestically owned wafer fabrication plant, run by the state telecom giant Viettel. That fab is targeting 32-nanometer chips, the kind used in cars, telecom equipment, and industrial machinery, not the sub-3 nanometer chips that power frontier AI models. Trial production is scheduled for late 2027 because either then compete at the frontier, where Taiwan's TSMC has a decade-long head start. Vietnam is building an industry from the ground up at a node where the barriers to entry are lower, and the market is less contested. The clearest sign that this ambition has moved from paper to infrastructure came on June 26th, when Vietnam's Ministry of Science and Technology launched the Vietnam National Multi-Project Wafer Coordination Center. Before this center existed, a Vietnamese university lab or startup that wanted to test a chip design had to send it abroad, often to Taiwan, at a cost of $30,000 to $200,000 per run, with a wait of 12 to 24 months. One failed chip could burn through an entire project's budget. The new center pools multiple designs from different companies onto a single wafer and splits the cost by surface area. At launch, it signed cooperation agreements with 19 partners, including TSMC, Intel, Synopsys, and Cadence. This is the difference between a government saying it wants a domestic chip industry and a government building the physical infrastructure that industry actually requires. 9 days later, on July 4th, the ministry drafted a policy creating a government procurement list for 16 categories of strategic domestically designed chips. The effect is to guarantee a buyer for Vietnamese-made silicon before it has to compete on price in the open market, a captive customer base engineered directly into the industrial policy. Ho Chi Minh City proposed subsidies of up to $600,000 per domestic chip design project, aimed specifically at Vietnamese-owned firms rather than multinationals. Then came the foreign money. Amcor put in $1.6 billion for an advanced packaging plant, its largest anywhere in the world. Hana Micron added roughly $930 million to expand its packaging capacity. And in the first 9 days of July alone, Samsung Electromechanics committed $1.2 billion. Samsung's separate memory testing facility added $1.5 billion, and LG Innotek closed out the run with its billion-dollar complex in Haiphong. Add those figures together, and the total for packaging and testing capacity alone runs well past $5 billion in under 2 years. But add up what kind of capacity that money is buying, and a pattern becomes visible. Every one of those investments sits in packaging and testing. None of it is chip design. None of it is advanced fabrication. Vietnam's actual verifiable strength in mid-2026 is exactly where it was a decade ago, the back end of the supply chain. What's changed is the scale of the ambition sitting on top of it. That gap between ambition and current capability is where the story gets harder to resolve cleanly. Vietnam has about 60 integrated circuit design companies and 7,000 semiconductor engineers today, against a target of 50,000 engineers by 2030. Analysts at The Diplomat have pointed out that much of the official roadmap measures success in the number of design firms established, rather than in the sophistication of what those firms can actually produce. 100 design companies focused on mature 32-nanometer chips says very little about whether Vietnam can compete anywhere near the semiconductor frontier. There's a deeper structural question underneath that. Vietnam has historically struggled with what economists call a two-speed economy, where foreign multinationals operate profitably inside the country without that activity translating into real skill transfer for domestic workers and firms. Intel has been in Vietnam since 2007, Samsung since 2008. The question Vietnam has never fully answered is whether nearly 2 decades of foreign investment produced Vietnamese engineers who can design competitive chips on their own, or whether it produced a highly efficient assembly line that happens to sit on Vietnamese soil. Running underneath all of this is a second relationship that complicates the clean narrative of Vietnam as America's chip partner. China remains Vietnam's most important trading partner, and Hanoi is known to weigh Beijing's likely reaction before making any major move toward Washington. In December 2025, Vietnam's government voted to terminate exports of rare earth elements, a resource where Vietnam holds the world's second largest reserves. That's a striking decision to make at the exact moment China is using its own rare earth dominance as leverage against the United States. Vietnam isn't picking a side in that fight. It's positioning itself to extract value from both sides of it. Step back, and the shape of the strategy becomes clear. American supply chain policy toward China rarely arrives as a single dramatic decoupling. It arrives with export control exemption and a packaging plant that turns official ambition into physical capacity to actually build something. Vietnam is a real and growing part of that strategy. But right now, it's a back-end player inside someone else's front-end story. Whether the infrastructure going up in 2026 turns into genuine design and fabrication capability by 2030 is the question that will determine if Vietnam becomes the next node in the AI chip supply chain.